Taiwan's main opposition Kuomintang marks 10 years since the landmark meeting between Taiwan and China's leaders. Taiwan's military is integrating drones and AI into its strategy in a bid to modernize. We ask an analyst what Taiwan's future defense capabilities might look like.
Taiwan needs to have a better understanding of what are the tactics, techniques, procedures that come with engaging in drone warfare in today's day and age.
We're here at one of Taipei's most popular tourist hotspots to check on how local vendors are faring after a temporary ban on pork following a recent case of African swine fever.
Plus,
公司赚不赚钱，对我们来说其实是不是最重要的？最重要的其实是如何提供旅客有服务品质以及安全的运输。
several railway workers are on a hunger strike at Taiwan's biggest train station. We tell you why. Good evening and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. In 2015, leaders from China and Taiwan made history when they met in Singapore. 10 years later, Taiwan's main opposition party is using the anniversary to push for better ties with Beijing. Still, some feel that they're reading too much into a meeting that was largely symbolic. Cadence Caranta reports.
A historic meeting in 2015 between Chinese President Xi Jinping and then Taiwan President Ying-jeou, the first time the leaders of Taiwan and China had met in over 6 decades, both sides painting it as an opportunity to improve relations. 10 years later, Ma still hails the meeting as a crucial moment for cross-strait goodwill. In a Facebook post commemorating the meeting's anniversary, writing that it built a, quote, bridge of peace and represented the highest achievement of the institutionalization of cross-strait exchanges. And Ma's then party, the Kuomintang, now Taiwan's main opposition party, which has warmer ties with China, is using the anniversary to criticize Taiwan's current Democratic Progressive Party government for heightened cross-strait tensions and to advocate closer relations with Beijing to maintain peace.
那接下来我们也会扭转今天台海兵凶战危的局势，我们也要改变今天台湾被迫逼到墙角的局面。我们要改变我们被动的状态，我们要成为主动的、关键的和平缔造者。
But one expert says the historic meeting, held just months before Ma's second term ended and coming on the heels of a massive student movement against a controversial cross-strait agreement, was largely only symbolic. He believes it had little concrete impact on cross-strait relations as a whole.
Well, Ma Ying-jeou had very little time left in his second term, and he had been stymied in the legislature to try and get the services pact through by the Sunflower Movement. So essentially, all of his efforts to try and boost ties across the strait had ground to a halt. So it was at that point, it was only small symbolic things. So ultimately, it really didn't have much of a practical effect because politically, there was not much that Ma Ying-jeou could authorize at the time over the objections of the legislature and, at that point, public opinion. Obviously, on the Chinese side, there wasn't much that they could do either because of the constraints of the relationship, but also the constraints that Ma Ying-jeou was under.
Soon after the meeting, in 2016, Beijing cut off all communication with Taipei after Taiwan elected Tsai Ing-wen its new leader. Tsai and her party, the Democratic Progressive Party, refused to accept that both sides belong to the same country. The DPP stays on as the ruling party in Taiwan to this day, and China's efforts to step up its pressure tactics against the country continue, driving up cross-strait tensions. TaiwanPlus reached out to the presidential office and the Mainland Affairs Council, which governs relations with China, but both declined to comment on the meeting's anniversary. With Beijing's pressure showing no signs of easing, the expert says the KMT may look to use its peace message to appeal to voters wary of confrontation. But whether it can truly shift the political tide in Taiwan and across the strait remains uncertain. Justin Wu and Cadence Caranta for TaiwanPlus.
China's state media has announced that the country's third aircraft carrier, the Fujian, has officially entered service. Chinese President Xi Jinping attended its commissioning on the island of Hainan on Wednesday. Defense experts say its electromagnetic catapult system marks a major leap in China's military technology. The United States is the only other country with that kind of launch system. Taiwan's defense ministry says it's monitoring the Fujian closely and is ready to respond to any of its movements. As the Fujian entered service, Taiwan saw a huge surge in nearby Chinese military activity. The defense ministry says it spotted 38 Chinese military aircraft and 9 naval vessels operating near the country between Thursday and Friday morning. 31 of those aircraft flew closer to Taiwan's main island. It's one of the largest incursions Taiwan has seen in recent weeks. In a major stride toward modernization, Taiwan's military has officially established dedicated drone units. The Defense Ministry has also set up an AI project office. To learn more about what these moves could mean for Taiwan's future battlefield capabilities, Alan Liu speaks with Bryce Barros, an associate fellow at the Globsec think tank.
The Defense Ministry says it has set up an AI project office for the military. What do you expect to see from this new office?
I think a big thing that this office should focus on is making sure that Taiwan has a better integration of artificial intelligence when it comes to identifying, surveilling, and doing reconnaissance on whatever kind of PLA or Chinese-related drones might be coming into Taiwan's sort of territorial waters, which is a real possibility in the future. I think the other thing that this office could do too is ensuring that Taiwan is quickly able to integrate its different sort of like joint operation, common operation picture to be able to better sort of assess a battlefield, figure out what it needs to do next, that kind of thing. Having an AI office of M&D allows Taiwan to be able to do faster, quicker, and more efficient, and allows more soldiers, airmen, Marines, sailors, etc., policemen, in the case of Taiwan, to focus on, other sort of tasks related to what their basic sort of skills are for whatever service branch they're in.
Another important development is Taiwan's establishment of new drone units. How do you view the significance of formally bringing drones into military service?
So one, Taiwan needs to have a better understanding of what are the tactics, techniques, procedures that come with engaging in drone warfare in today's day and age. I think the most important thing is making sure that Taiwan is able to use UUVs, USVs, and UAVs that are longer range to keep PLA forces at bay as long as they can possibly be kept at, or keep the fight away from the Taiwan main island as long as possible. I also think that one of the things that Taiwan's going to need to do as it sort of ramps up its significance of formally bringing drones in military service is making sure that they are producing more drones. And that includes a lot of the back-end non-sexy policies related to defense industrial base sort of issues around drones. And given that drones are a dual use capability, right? Taiwan has a really interesting economy that can sort of pivot from one to the other.
In your view, how can Taiwan best integrate AI and drones for use on the battlefield?
I think the key for integrating AI and drones into the battlefield, first and foremost, as I alluded to earlier, is making sure that you're integrating UUVs, USVs, and UAVs that are longer range that can keep the fight away from the main island. And that doesn't just range from using drones, that can sort of launch on themselves and whatnot. It also could be as simple as having a Taiwan Navy sailor operating from, aboard a small vessel, a counter drone gun that could protect their own ship, right? Or one of the first-person view FPV drones or whatever that might have a tether or something like that from aboard their vessel themselves physically, not just the autonomous piece of it. The last thing I would talk about when it comes to integrating AI and drones, and specifically artificial intelligence or autonomous weapon systems and counter drone is most important, I think. Putting a very strong premium on counter drone and hardening bases is going to be really key. So making sure that Taiwan has all the counter drone capabilities it can muster for every defensive facility or every key government facility is going to be really important going forward, because I think that that's the bigger vulnerability.
That was Globsec Associate Fellow Bryce Barros. Former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is set to retire after more than 3 decades in Congress. Pelosi said on Thursday that she will not run in next year's midterm elections, making 2026 her final year in office. She was first elected to the House of Representatives in 1987 and later became the first woman to serve as Speaker. And then in 2022, Pelosi became the highest-ranking U.S. lawmaker to visit Taiwan in 25 years. China responded to the visit with live-fire exercises near Taiwan and launched cyber attacks against the country. Pelosi maintained close ties with Taiwan after her trip. She had a call with President Lai Ching-te last December, where she underscored her support for Taiwan's participation in international organizations. The U.S. has ended its ban on weapons sales to Cambodia. This comes after U.S. President Donald Trump helped Cambodia and Thailand sign a ceasefire deal last week. Cambodia nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts. The U.S. imposed the ban in 2021 amid concerns of Chinese military influence in Cambodia and allegations of human rights abuses and corruption. Arms sales will be approved on a case-by-case basis. Coming up after the break, over 100 people have been killed in the Philippines after Typhoon Kalmaegi tore through the country. We take a closer look at recovery efforts.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
Wow, this is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?
经历过人生的话，你发现说，我们大部分都是爱美的。
我自己少遇见一朵花，我可能就不是这个样子。
开始思考什么叫做一个本土性，
大声的唱出来说我是台湾人。
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Fresh pork is back on the market after African swine fever at a farm in central Taiwan paused the country's pork industry. Now, tourists and restaurant owners are welcoming the return. Tiffany Wong has more.
From xiaolong bao to braised pork to these wheat vermicelli with intestines, some of Taiwan's best-known eats are centered around pork. And popular dishes like these draw locals and tourists alike. But for the past 2 weeks, some businesses worried they might not have enough meat to meet demand. The government put a hold on pork due to a case of African swine fever at one farm in central Taiwan.
我们分店就休息了，然后这边是我们自己有一些库存，然后厂商有一些，就这样，然后晚开门，然后提早打烊。
Authorities have already determined the cause to be improperly cooked feed, but stopped the transport and slaughter of pigs across the country for 2 weeks to contain the spread. But not all businesses were affected the same. Large restaurants like Din Tai Fung told TaiwanPlus that the ban did not affect their inventory.
With the ban lifted, shops are starting to sell fresh pork again, and people are lining up to get their fix.
Many foreign tourists said they were not aware of a ban, but were still able to work around limited sales and store closures to sate their cravings for the best of Taiwanese cuisine.
We're trying to get the braised pork rice in Taichung, but then they say they stopped serving that for a few days. Actually, I didn't know they had a breakout of African swine flu. We were not aware at all. So ignorance is bliss, I guess, yeah.
这几天有啊，也有吃到啊。就像昨天啊，我们在那个台北车站那边也有吃猪肉的啊。我们应该不吃那么多，也应该无所谓吧。
While consuming meat infected with African swine fever is not harmful to humans, local consumers are a bit more cautious, taking it as a lesson to be careful about what they eat.
会有一点点担心，可是只要是选择，就是说那个店家好一点的话，你有品牌的，就是说你信用它的话，而且我们会看那个味道。好，而且看的会闻味道，会看它的形状。他假如说这个摊位很脏，就是有点血水什么流出来，他表示它不新鲜的话，我们就不敢买。
As fresh pork returns to dinner plates, authorities are keeping a close eye on hog farms, making sure the meat is safe to eat so people can continue enjoying their favorite treats with peace of mind. Joseph Wu and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Some railway workers are hunger striking at Taiwan's biggest train station. Leslie Liao has more on what they're protesting.
100 hours. That's how long these railway workers plan to be on a hunger strike. Now, on day 2 of their protest, they say they're fighting for labor rights after a court ruled in favor of their employer, the Taiwan Railways Corporation. In 2017, over 300 railway employees exercised their right to request time off during Taiwan's busy Lunar New Year to protest forced overtime during holidays. The action caused staffing issues, but the company managed to minimize service disruptions, and the employees won some concessions. But in the end, the Railway Corporation punished those involved. One of the hunger strikers here at Taipei Main Station was among the people who were reprimanded.
其实我觉得对我们336个员工来讲，我们觉得不管怎样，我们完全就是已经都有做到就是工会活动的状态，而且雇主也依知悉，而且在整个活动过程中也没有影响到雇主的营运。
The union representing the workers filed suit and won in the first instance, but a second court overturned that ruling, saying the TRC could schedule employees to work on national holidays without getting their prior consent.
国定假日我们本来就没有出勤的义务。那如果雇主希望确定我国定假日要不要出来上班，他就应该要很明确的来询问我的意愿。
This comes amid a push to modernize Taiwan railways and make it more profitable and efficient. Last year, it went from a government administration to a state-owned company. But the transition has not been easy and has led to significant worker unrest. Part of the deal was to provide staff retention guarantees and raise salaries. But the union says becoming a corporation was never a priority for them.
公司赚不赚钱，对我们来说其实不是最重要的。最重要的其实是如何提供旅客有服务品质以及安全的运输。
Responding to the hunger strike, the Taiwan Railways Corporation said in a statement that it abides by Taiwan's labor laws and respects the decisions of the country's courts. This demonstration is just the latest labor issue weighing on Taiwan's transportation industry. Last month, the death of a flight attendant who worked a long-haul flight while feeling unwell sparked questions about labor practices in Taiwan's airlines. Protesters here say they're making a stand as the court's decision might not only impact the industry but also millions of workers across Taiwan. Hank Xu and Leslie Liao in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
At least 3 people are confirmed dead after a demolition accident in South Korea. Local fire officials said the boiler tower at a retired thermal power plant fell over as workers were tearing it down. Rescuers pulled out 2 trapped workers soon after the accident. 3 workers are now confirmed to have died. Efforts continue to find the 4 missing workers trapped under the rubble. The facility in the southeastern city of Ulsan was built in 1981 and has been out of service for the past 4 years. People in the central Philippines are starting the long struggle of cleaning up after Typhoon Kalmaegi tore across the region. John Van Trieste has this report.
Christine Aton enters the makeshift shelter her family has had to call home since Typhoon Kalmaegi ripped across the central Philippines on Tuesday. Over 100 people died in the Philippines, and in her town of Liloan alone, 35 bodies have been found. Among the dead is Christine's sister, Michelle, who was trapped in her bedroom as the floodwaters overtook the family home.
My sister, who has a mental disability, was inside her room. We tried to pry the door, it wouldn't open. We tried to open it with a kitchen knife, a crowbar, and wood, but it wouldn't budge. I tried punching the door, it still wouldn't open. We tried until the water got really high. It reached over our heads.
Survivors are dazed, and some, like Krios Roa and his family, are going hungry.
We've not eaten for 2 days. My children are in shock, traumatized and unresponsive. The one's 14 years old, the other 18. They were traumatized by the floodwaters. It's our first time encountering something like that.
Filipinos are used to living with typhoons. Kalmaegi is the 20th in a string of powerful and even deadly storms to hit the country this year alone. But a common refrain among survivors this time is surprise at how fast this storm hit and how intense the destruction has been.
biglang pumasok yung...
The floodwaters quickly rushed in and we were not able to bring anything with us. This was the first time that has happened to us. I've been living here for almost 16 years and it was the first time I've experienced the flooding.
For many, the storm has swept away a lifetime of hard work overnight, leaving nothing. Lisa Becus is among them. She's busy digging for whatever clothing that survived from the ruins of her house.
Everything was destroyed. Only the flooring remained. Everything was washed out. We have no belongings. My children have nothing. Their uniforms, bags, and all of our things are gone. We borrowed money to buy our TV, took us 3 weeks to pay back, and washing machine about a month to pay back. For my children, but it's now gone.
The Central Philippines is now a battered region. Just a month ago, the north of Cebu Island, one of the region's main landmasses, suffered a 6.9 magnitude earthquake that killed dozens. Now the island is caked in mud and littered with ruins, leaving people to pick up as best they can and ask what comes next. Andy Xue and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
That region is now getting ready for more bad weather. A new storm, Fengwang, is on track to hit the Philippines as a super typhoon on Sunday, as it makes its way to Taiwan next week. Irie jelly is one of Taiwan's favorite summer treats, but harvesting the fruit used to make it from high in the treetops has always been risky. Now, indigenous communities are using modern techniques to make an old trade safer. A team from TaiwanPlus visits the mountains to learn more.
This forest in Tofuya village in Alishan in central Taiwan has been home to the indigenous Do people for generations. Today, it's serving as an unusual classroom.
这种东西就是最简单的，一条绳子就可以上升下降。
44-year-old Avai Voyanna, nicknamed the Jovan Diesel, works with the Formosan tree seekers, a team of scientists studying Taiwan's tallest trees, where he assists as a skilled tree climber. Avai has mastered belaying, rope skills he believes can be applied to harvesting one of his community's most valuable forestry products, the aiyu or jelly fig, used for making the popular aiyu jelly dessert.
然后我就自己在想，这些是不是可以运用在部落的采摘爱玉？爱玉在阿里山这边其实就是一个很重要的经济来源。有些人采一季是他们这个家里可能半年，可能有一段期间的生活费，甚至是小朋友开学都会用这些钱，采摘爱玉的钱去做支付。
The type of fig used to make aiyu is endemic to Taiwan, and as an epiphyte, does not root in soil. Instead, it grows on trees. It needs very specific conditions to reproduce.
那爱玉就是这个无花果的这个属呢，它很特别，就是说它搭配帮它传粉的蜂呢，就爱玉小蜂，它就只能帮爱玉传粉。我们拿去别的地方气候相似的地方种植，它会长出来。但是你如果没有爱玉小蜂在当地，它还是没有办法长出爱玉。
Aiyu fruit is flavorless, but can be processed into jelly, added to drinks for texture. It's one of Taiwan's favorite summer treats.
我们是花非常多精神去产生这一杯饮料，然后其实它也没什么热量，就是单纯就是一种享受。其实跟法式料理是一样的意思。我们花很多时间去产生这一杯饮料，然后它花非常多精神去栽种，然后去处理，然后最后这杯饮料是很珍贵的。然后我觉得它有代表台湾文化的一部分。
Aiyu can grow as high as the trees it clings to, but only produces fruit high up where it gets sunlight.
拉了就断了，拉了就断了，所以这个就是很危险的。
Harvesting it the traditional way is dangerous and can require training in climbing workshops.
我上去采是徒手爬上去采，都是3、4层高的那个就是高度。我周围的有好几个，就是不是掉下来当场过世，就是我们也有朋友，结果后来半身不遂，就是全瘫痪的。所以现在野生爱玉也几乎都没有人要去摘采了。今天的攀爬给我很多的想法了，就是人要安全， 生活才有也有保障。所以我觉得这以后是以后工作会改变的方式。下课以后，我这个产季的爱玉，我就会准备买绳索。
Rope skills used in seafaring are now being introduced in Alishan. Trainers say one day they could help with harvesting fruit, fixing rooftops, or even with rescues deep in the mountains. The goal is to introduce new possibilities to indigenous communities.
透过这个课程，就让他们知道说，其实我在山上从事一些农作的时候，其实是可以用一个现代的工具或设备结合我们的农作，然后让自己更安心、更安全。这件事情也想要让大家知道说，尤其是部落的青年说，其实你回来还是有各种可以去尝试跟想象的一个空间。
部落的比较年轻一辈的，更让他们想要回来山上，然后认识山上。我用这些用好玩的方式、探险的方式，把这种子撒下去，看能不能让他们吸引他们回来。
In doing so, these ropes do more than just keep people safe. They represent a lifeline to connect indigenous peoples to their land and traditions. Peachy Zhuang and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
And thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Download our app to get more of our stories on your phone. Finally, we leave you with images of the LA Zoo's newest arrival, a baby born in orangutan, the first born there in nearly 15 years. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. Have a great weekend.